why this is or is not a fishing expedition. Yun nga, napaka-importante po kasi ito dahil it is ingrained in a complaint na yung allegations mo ng ultimate facts, mapoprove mo ngayon yon with the evidence. Hindi pwede na wala kang ebidensya, hihingin mo lang ng hihingin by way of subpoena. Clear po yun sa batas. Kaya nga gusto kong ipaliwanag nyo sa akin, educate me why this applies, why this is not a fishing expedition, why the case I cited does not apply, because I assume that's the position of the prosecution. Yung isang concern ng defense na nabasa ko is that hindi nag-allege ng ultimate facts. Hindi klaro kung ano yung naging kasalanan at hindi na-identify ng maayos itong facts na to that lead to a conclusion of law. So wala daw yun. Later on, I will ask both parties again to also clarify that. But the point is, kung walang basihan yung paglabas ng ebidensya na yon, it is the fruit of the poison tree, then you cannot use it. So yun yung importante dito kasi I'm sure nakita nyo no sa korte kahit sabihin nyo pong sa mga legal drama na na-throw out, the case is thrown out because na-violate ang due process. Prosecution naman, may I ask you kung saan without, because bawal ho na tanungin ko for you to state your case. I cannot do that, no? But what I'm asking is if you can point out sa inyong articles kung saan doon yung allegations of ultimate facts. Kasi public document naman yan eh. Para lang maaral ko na asan dyan yung allegations nyo of ultimate facts. I'm ready to proceed, Mr. Presiding Officer. I'd like to start this discussion with a question that hopefully will allow our kababayans who are watching, listening, to understand the situation. Of course, I pose it also to the parties. If the government had in mind that there's a business and of course, a particular businessman or businesswoman who is violating a lot of laws pertaining to the operation of their business, be it customs law, BIR, regulations, can they just proceed and pwede ba silang basta na lang mag-request ng dokumento o mag-file ng kaso na requiring the businessman and the corporation to produce those documents? Pwede ba? So yun ang pag-isipan natin, no? Kasi yun ang tanong eh. Similarly, ginagawan ko lang ng ibang analogy para maintindihan ng mga kababayan natin. So this is the essence, dear colleagues, parties, of the principle of due process. This is ingrained in our Constitution. Totoo po na may karapatan ang gobyerno at obligasyon ng gobyernong patakbuhin ng maayos ang gobyerno. But it is always with due respect to the rights of every individual Filipino. That is the right to life, liberty, and property. So bago mo sagasaan yung right to life, liberty, and property, siguraduhin mo lang na may basihan ka. Yun lang naman ang sabi. So of course, ako, gusto ko talaga na maayos ang patakbo ng gobyerno para if somebody's life is also in danger, then government has to step up and prevent somebody's liberty. Kasi nga, sinasagasaan niya yung life and liberty ng ibang tao. So it's a balance, no? I think we can all agree it's a balance. So I want to go straight into a landmark case and I will ask both parties for their legal opinions on it kasi it is a legal proceeding. Pero gawin niyo lang simple para hindi masyado complicated para sa mga nakikinig sa atin. So in the landmark case of Stonehill versus Diokno, 1967 pa po to, karamihan ng mga lawyers hindi pa pinapanganak. The importance of due process was highlighted and the Supreme Court discussed 2 points. General warrants are void. Sabi ng Supreme Court, a warrant must be issued on probable cause for one specific offense and must particularly describe the thing being seized. So kailangan particular ang description dun sa warrant. warrants that leave it to the discretion of the officers serving them to decide what to seize, or general warrants outlawed by the are outlawed by the Constitution because they place the sanctity of the home and privacy at the mercy of prosecutors. So sinabi dito na kailangan specific. Take note warrant ito ha. So pina naman ang pinag-uusapan natin. Alam ko po yun. Pero I'm pointing it out kasi ang magiging tanong ko later on is kung relevant ito sa kaso. Okay? The other principle that was established in Stonehill versus Jokno was the exclusionary rule. Evidence obtained through an unconstitutional search is inadmissible for any purpose in any proceeding. Ito po yung tinatawag na the fruit of the poison tree. Pag nakuha mo yung information dun sa bawal na paraan, kung ano yung information mo, bawal ipakita yon. And this is where I need to get guidance from the presiding officer. If I'm allowed, I don't have to name names, to share the discussion that we had in caucus para lang mabanggit ko na ito yung mga provisions of law na napag-usapan. Am I allowed to do that? Would you like me to approach you? Please let me know because I will abide. Basically, because ang nangyari is we had our own discussion and I want to mention the provisions of law that we discussed. I don't have to mention names.
The lady may proceed.
Okay, thank you. So, tungkol dito sa exclusionary rule, ulitin ko, fruits of the poison tree, dun nga sa aming very open discussion, and I thank many of our colleagues who were I think we engaged in a fruitful discussion for some, not for all. I think yung iba talagang gustong makipag-debate at di-debate kasi gusto ko rin matuto, no? I think all of you will attest na I also wanted to learn from all of you kung anong perceptions nyo sa batas, kung ano din yung sinasabi ng mga abogado nyo. So dun sa fruits of the poison tree, sabi ko, kung yung pinanggalingan ng mga dokumento bawal na kunin ng basta-basta, then paano mo gagamitin? And meron kasing observation na lumabas na kasi yung documents na yon sa House. So nakita na ng publiko sa House. So sabi ko, pero if I will look at, and this is where I will pose the question to all of you, no? Medyo layered so pasensya na sa medyo complicated. Yung isang concern ng defense na nabasa ko is that hindi nag-allege ng ultimate facts. Hindi klaro kung ano yung naging kasalanan at hindi na-identify ng maayos itong facts na to that lead to a conclusion of law. So wala daw yun. Later on, I will ask both parties again to also clarify that. But the point is, kung walang basihan yung paglabas ng ebidensya na yon, it is the fruit of the poison tree, then you cannot use it. So yun yung importante dito kasi I'm sure nakita nyo na sa korte kahit sabihin nyo pong sa mga legal drama na na-throw out, the case is thrown out because na-violate ang due process. So that's the discussion I want to have. I want to hear both ha. Wala akong kinikilingan dito. I'm just explaining na yun yung argument ng defense na walang due process, kulang at why prosecution would you say na nasusunod yung due process. And before I give the floor to the parties, yung sinabi kong kaso na Stonehill versus Diokno, very interestingly, involves the esteemed father of our colleague, Congressman Prosecutor Chel Diokno. In the case of Stonehill versus Diokno, the father of Congressman Diokno was the Secretary of Justice. And in this case, the government, through the Secretary and other prosecutors, suspected that Harry Stonehill and his associates and several corporations that they controlled were violating central bank laws, tariff and customs laws, Internal Revenue Code, and the Revised Penal Code. So nag-request sila ng issuance of search warrant. At ang gusto nilang tingnan is books of accounts, financial records, vouchers, receipts, ledgers, etc., and other documents showing all the business transactions. Stonehill and the other petitioners filed a petition before the Supreme Court arguing that the search warrants were general warrants because they did not particularly describe the things to be seized. So, general pa pala yun. Books of accounts, financial records, receipts. General pa pala yun. And the Supreme Court ruled that indeed, general warrants are void. Warrants must be based on probable cause. Nasabi ko na yun, ano? And then the case also adopted the exclusionary rule, holding that evidence seized under an unconstitutional warrant is inadmissible. So, I now pose my questions. Applicable po ba ang kaso na ito, Hill versus Jokno, as far as the prosecution is concerned, and then also for the defense, applicable? Take note, I've read most of the pleadings, well, all of the pleadings, mahahaba sila. I kinda know your answer, but sa dami, I like to hear it again, and I think, of course, karamihan ng kababayan natin did not read it. So explain natin sa kanila, because this is a landmark case. Kung ikaw ay law student na magbabar, ito yung mga kasong titingnan mo. So malay mo, matanong yan sa bar. So nakatulong man lang tayo dun sa mga bar students na maliwanagan sila. Baka mamaya trick question to. Is it applicable or not? That is my question. I will sit down and then I will come back for my next. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I may be recognized.
The member of the panel of prosecutors may proceed to give his answer. Thereafter, the counsel for respondent may do so as well.
Iba po ang konteksto ng search warrant na naging main issue sa Stonehill versus Jokno. Sa konteksto po natin na subpoena ang pinag-uusapan. Ang search warrant po, ang governing law po dyan ay nasa Bill of Rights natin, Article 3, Section 3. At kaya siya nandun dahil very invasive po ang search warrant. Pag ang isang judge ay nag-issue ng search warrant, pwedeng pasukin yung opisina o yung bahay ng person involved, pwedeng halongkatin yung lahat ng mga gamit niya doon sa kanyang opisina o sa kanyang bahay. Kaya po naglagay ng maraming limitasyon ang ating konstitusyon dahil marami ng pang-aabuso, marami ng mga halimbawa ng pang-aabuso na nangyari kahit noon pa. Iba po ang pinag-uusapan natin ngayon. Ang pinag-uusapan natin ngayon ay subpoena. Hindi po ito license to enter an office or to search any place. Ito po ay mismong humihiling lang ng mga dokumentong nakasulat sa loob ng subpoena. Therefore, the contexts are very different. When we speak of a search warrant, I do agree there should be very specific limitations on how that warrant can be enforced. Pagdating naman po sa subpoena, meron din po yan, but that is not governed by the Constitution. It's governed by Rule 21 of the Rules of Civil Procedure, which basically provide that for a subpoena to be valid, it must be relevant and it must be definite. Ibig po sa relevance ay may kinalaman na may kaugnayan yan sa mga kailangan patunayan ng mga facts. At pagdating naman sa definiteness ay klaro kung anong mga iba't ibang dokumento ang hinihingi. In our case, we respectfully submit, Your Honors, that we have met both the standards of relevance and materiality. The BIR records, the bank records, and the records of the Anti-Money Laundering Council are relevant to the facts in issue pertaining to the charges of unexplained wealth. Hindi po natin malalaman kung talagang merong unexplained wealth ang Vice President kung hindi natin mabubuksan yung kanyang mga bank records, kung hindi rin natin makikita at mailalatag ang anti-money laundering at BIR records po nila. And insofar as definiteness is concerned, we have specified the particular documents that we are requesting, and we have included as well an explanation of why those are important. Kaya sa aming pananaw po ay we have satisfied the requirements for a subpoena to SESTECO. Thank you.
Mr. Presiding Officer, before we recognize the defense, just a quick follow-up question.
Hindi ko may lapit eh.
Bigyan ko ng time na bulungan muna siya ng kasama.
I'm sorry.
Okay na kayo? No, it's okay.
Senator Judge Pia, would you like the counsel for respondent to answer?
Not yet, Mr.
Not yet.
My
Okay.
request was if I
Okay.
I'll just ask a follow-up question.
You may proceed, ma'am.
Thank you for that. I appreciate His Honor's response. May I simply point out, and again, please give me your explanation. Tama ho yung pagkabanggit nyo na yung nature ng search warrant very invasionary, di ba? Because it requires that pasukin yung bahay, halugugin yung gamit. Pero hindi kaya invasive din yung paghalughog ng records? Is that not extremely parallel? I mean, is it not very similar in the sense that what is being questioned now are the very essence of somebody's savings, earnings? So, which we have to agree. I think there's no doubt that that is protected. But in fact, His Honor is saying that it would fall under the police power. So, imbis na papasukin mo sa bahay na nandun yung mga dokumento, you will do the same by asking these agencies, whether it is the BIR, the banks, or AMLA, to now reveal these documents. So that's my question. Is it in the prosecution's, is it the point of view of the prosecution na iba yun? Hindi ba invasive yun? Kayo gumamit ng word na invasionary, no, but I'll use invasive, I think. Yeah. Anyway, please answer, and then we'll give the floor to the defense, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Counsel for the panel for prosecutors may
Thank you, Your
answer as he pleases.
Yung pong search warrant, kung ano man ang makuhang ebidensya doon, ay direktang binibigay po yun sa court, and that is now considered as evidence by the court that issued the search warrant. Iba po ang subpoena, dahil pag naglabas ang isang hukuman ng subpoena, itong mga records ay hindi po siya considered yet as evidence. Yan po ay ipoproduce lang, dadalhin lang po sa korte, and now it is up to the parties, and I refer to both parties, to decide which of those documents may be relevant in terms of the evidence that they are need to present. Yung pong nakikita po natin sa subpoena, it is not in any way invasive because, as I mentioned earlier, as pointed out by Senator Enrile when he was the presiding officer in the Corona trial, we are simply having those documents produced. The admissibility of those documents will only be determined after, if offered by the parties. Kaya po sa aming mga pananaw ay malaking-malaki ang pagkaiba ng search warrant sa subpoena.
Your Honor, may I be
With the
recognized?
permission of the lady Senator Judge, counsel for respondent may now give his answer to her query. You may proceed, sir.
Thank you, Your Honors. Your Honors, ang posisyon po ng depensa dito ay subpoena and a search warrant are very much similar in that both are compulsory processes. No? So, yes, hindi tayo papasok sa bahay ng isang tao o ng nasasakdal, but it will be intrusive because we will be opening up all the financial transactions for, sabi nga dito, almost 20 years of the respondent. Kaya po, katulad ng isang search warrant, the things that we are asking for through a subpoena must be particularly described. Kanina po, nabanggit po ng aking kagalang-galang na opposing counsel na particularly described na po yung kanilang naisulat. However, the defense does not agree with that proposition because if you look at it, tama naman po, nakasulat po dito ng hinihingi nila ay account opening and maintenance records, KYC documents, information files, signature cards, all account and transaction records, ledgers, journals. Basically, Your Honors, this is everything. Ibig sabihin, ni-specify lang nila ang nilalaman ng lahat ng bank records ng respondent. So in our view, Your Honors, while they took pains to specify each and every document, the truth of the matter is they're asking for everything. Ngayon, pagdating sa subpoena, and even in the case they cited, yung Rocco versus Contreras, no? Nakasulat po doon that for a subpoena to be validly issued, when we talk about particularly describing yung kung ano yung hinihingi, it has to be evidence that is both relevant and material. So ang tanong namin, saan ba dito yung relevant or material? Kasi lahat na po ng records hiningi eh. So, and this bolsters our theory, of course with all due respect to the opposing side, na kaya namin tinatawag o kaya namin natawag na fishing expedition ito. Kasi lahat na ng records hiningi, pero hindi naman matukoy which would actually be relevant, which would actually be evidentiary to the accusations they have made under the articles of impeachment. So, pero dito, hinihingi natin 20 years worth of records. And then paano po yun? Hihimayin natin, maghahanap tayo ngayon kung may relevant o wala. Which brings me back to yung BIR records. Nakaseal po yung box. So I would say, both parties, hindi natin alam kung anong nasa loob nun. Yet, we're hoping na somehow, pag nabuksan yung box na yon, meron po tayong makikitang ebidensya. And that's why, again, with all due respect, we called it a fishing expedition. Kasi hindi naman na-identify kung ano mismo doon yung pwedeng ebidensya laban sa sinasabing unexplained wealth umano ng Vice Presidente. So, with the question, for us, yes, the Stonehill case, Stonehill versus Diokno, directly applies to the current proceedings. Kasi nga po doon, sinasabi talaga na dapat specified yung hiningi, particularly described and relevant. But as of this point, they're asking, Your Honors, for all of these things. And again, while they specified each and every document, kung babasahin niyo po ng mabuti ito, they're actually asking for all bank records without, in fact, telling us which transaction is relevant to their accusation, which transaction will actually support their accusation. Yun po yung aming pananaw dito sa tanong ng ating kagalang-galang na hukom. Thank you po.
If Your Honor, please, may be allowed to respond.
Hold on, counsel for the panel of prosecutors. Senator Judge Pia is the one asking the questions. Unless it's not a debate between the two counsels. You're merely responding to answers from questions by senator judges.
I actually prefer not, pero alam mo na, baka sabihin naman na may bias tayo pag di ko naman pinayagan. Di payagan.
no,
I defer to...
Senator Judge Pia, you asked the question, they answered. It is not for the opposing counsel to answer points raised. They had that chance when they did their oral arguments, rebuttal and surrebuttal. You may proceed with your question, Senator Pia.
Sige, my question is, what is your question? Or what is your comment? Go ahead. But keep it brief. Keep it brief.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. I just wanted to point out that this is the first time actually an impeachment court is faced with the challenge of determining whether the charges of unexplained wealth are valid or not. And yung previous Corona case, hindi po pinayagan ng impeachment court yung Article 2.4 ng Article 2. At kung ang magiging batayan po natin ay yung naging mga desisyon ng ating Korte Suprema, sinabi mismo ng Supreme Court in several cases na pag ang usapin ay unexplained wealth, kailangan makita yung kabuuan ng kinita ng isang lingkod bayan at yung mga dineclare niya sa salen. Just to quote just a very short portion, sabi ng Supreme Court from the same case I cited earlier, the Ombudsman's failure to account for all lawful sources of income, including proceeds from business ventures and government benefits, further weakens the allegation that Rafael's wealth was unexplained. The incomplete assessment disregarded his accumulated assets over decades of public service, making it impossible to determine whether his property acquisitions exceed his legitimate financial capacity, end quote. Hindi lang naman po dito sa harapan nitong hukom na ginagawa yung pagtingin sa kabuuan ng isang lingkod bayan. The Supreme Court has done it in this case where they looked at decades of the financial records of the person charged with unexplained wealth. And it has also happened in the cases of Rabusa and Ligot, which were decided recently by the Honorable Court. Thank you.
Your Honor, may I at least be given just 1 minute to respond to that, Your Honors? But of course, I will submit to the
Senator
pleasure
Judge
of
Of course,
Pia
I
will,
yield.
guess,
Of course, I
give you
yield.
the same opportunity, I'm assuming.
Yes, Your Honors. Again, hindi ko po tinutuligsa o ino-oppose yung mga na-mention na case ng aking distinguished opposing counsel. However, those cases do not involve impeachment. And why is that relevant? Because in impeachment, as we have said, merong allegation ng unexplained wealth pero wala naman pong nakasuporta na mga documents para makita natin ano ba yung basis na naging aligasyon. Pangalawa po, again in impeachment, according to the case of Duterte versus House of Representatives, meron po tayong tinitingnan kung ano ba talaga ang impeachable offense. At yun po ay again offenses or acts or omissions committed while the public officer is occupying the impeachable office and in relation to such office. That enough, Your Honors, is very clear under the decision. That is all, Your Honors.
Thank you, Counsel for Respondent. Senator Judge Pia, may proceed.
Mr. President, Mr. Presiding Officer, I'll go to my next point, but it will kind of overlap with this point as well, so bear with me. My next point, Mr. Presiding Officer and parties, is still on due process. This is the requirement that every pleading must allege ultimate facts and must not contain conclusions of law. So again, I'll start with an example. If, for example, if there's a case filed, no, and sabi, si Juan robbed the house of Mario. So para maintindihan ng mga kababayan natin, Juan robbed the house of Mario. That is a conclusion of fact. Nangyari na daw yun. And if there's another allegation that says, therefore Juan is guilty of robbery, that is a conclusion of law. So, again, I try my best not to be technical. It's in my, I would have wanted to be a teacher if not a lawyer, so I do like to be able to explain things well. So, ang hinahanap dito is, bakit mo, gusto mong patunayan yung facts mo? Yun yung kailangan sa ultimate facts. Kailangan mo patunayan, bakit mo sinasabing Juan robbed the house of Mario. Di sasabihin mo, ang ultimate fact dyan example is si Juan ay nakita dun sa vicinity ng bahay ni Mario. Tapos ito si Mario, narinig na nagsisigaw na ninanakawan kami, whatever. Tapos yun, meron siyang testimonya na ano yung nawala sa kanila. Tapos may nakakita na kamukha ni Juan yung nandun. Tapos namukhaan nila, na-describe nila na 5 feet 10, medyo mapayat, ganon. So yun yung mga ultimate facts na later on sa evidence, patutunayan. That's just very general, no? And then later on, para nga mapatunayan yung robbery, i-allege ngayon yung elements of the crime that constitute robbery. So, nung di pa ako abogado, di ko naman alam ang difference ng robbery and theft. Yung robbery kasi qualified yan eh. So pumasok siya sa bahay using violence. That's what makes it robbery. So kailangan i-allege yun. Sorry to be a bit technical. Alam kong yan ang phrase of the day. Let's not be technical. Phrase of the week, phrase of the month. But we have to be able to explain these things in a way that people understand without forgetting that these are rights of the defense and rights of the person who is being tried here, and kailangan maliwanag yung ating mga accusations. So, my question now goes to both the prosecution and the defense. I know that the defense, in their answer, questions the failure of the complaint or the articles to allege ultimate facts, and therefore, I think they filed the case before the Supreme Court. I'll give you your time to answer because I don't really recall that I heard it mentioned in the oral argument. So, again, with the permission of the presiding officer, papasadahan ko lang naman na nabanggit ko yun na nandyan yan sa nandun sa memorandum, pero hindi ko naalalang, I'm just speaking naman for myself kung ano yung mga sinabi ko dun sa aming meeting, na hindi ko naalalang nabanggit. Baka naman nasabi, hindi ko lang naalalang na-emphasize kasi nga limited yung time. But I do recall that it's in the complaint, it's in the answer, and then it's also in the memorandum. So, pinupursue nyo pa ba ito? Kasi me as a judge, importante to kasi paano ba didepensa ng maayos kung hindi nga nag-a-allege ng ultimate facts that go into the case. And then, for the prosecution naman, may I ask you kung saan without, because bawal ho na tanungin ko for you to state your case. I cannot do that, no? But what I'm asking is if you can point out sa inyong articles kung saan doon yung allegations of ultimate facts. Kasi public document naman yan eh. Para lang maaral ko na asan dyan yung allegations nyo of ultimate facts. And this is where, before I pass on the floor to the parties to answer, I want to go into the principle of fishing expedition. Nagkataon na I came across the trial that we had for former Chief Justice Corona, and lumabas yung issue na yon. Sabi ko, eksakto ito yung pinag-aaralan natin for today. Yung fishing expedition, and no less than the defense had to explain it in Filipino kasi sabi, baka hindi alam yung ibig sabihin ng fishing expedition, pangingisda ba daw yun? Parang hindi naman daw yun yung translation. No? Pero ito yung naghahagilap ka ng ebidensya kasi wala kang ebidensya. So I'll go back to a case and sama nyo to sa response nyo. Doon po sa kasong Afluencia versus Metrobank in 2014, humingi dito ang petitioner ng motion for issuance of subpoena ducis tecum ad testificandum at sinabing padala daw ng documents relative to their loan to Metrobank as well as those covering extrajudicial foreclosure. Sabi ng Supreme Court, this is tantamount to building their whole case from the evidence of their opponent. Bawal daw yun. Hindi daw pwede na yung kaso mo, nakabase lang dun sa, sasabihin mo dun sa kabila, labas mo nga lahat ng meron ka dyan. No, your case has to be built. Yung evidence mo has to be there. So I will also ask both parties, is that jurisprudence relevant to this case for the prosecution and then also for the defense? And then let us also include a discussion on why this is or is not a fishing expedition. Yun nga, napaka-importante po kasi ito dahil it is ingrained in a complaint na yung allegations mo ng ultimate facts, mapoprove mo ngayon yun with the evidence. Hindi pwede na wala kang ebidensya, hihingin mo lang ng hihingin by way of subpoena. Clear po yun sa batas. Kaya nga gusto kong ipaliwanag nyo sa akin, educate me why this applies, why this is not a fishing expedition, why the case I cited does not apply, because I assume that's the position of the prosecution. And then for the defense, ano naman po yung position nyo? Salamat.
The counsel for respondent will give his answer first with respect to the question of Senator Judge Pia on ultimate facts as well as on fishing expedition. Thereafter, counsel for the panel of prosecutors. You may proceed, sir, when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Pagdating po doon sa sinasabi namin na lack of ultimate facts, no? Ito po yung nagsimula pa lang doon sa Committee on Justice when the impeachment complaints were filed. Because the allegation, and I'll stick just with this, I believe, Article 2. No? Pagdating po kasi doon, there was an allegation of unexplained wealth. Pero wala pong nakasulat kung saan nila nakuha, ano yung basehan ng unexplained wealth na yon. Ano yung act na ginawa ng Vice Presidente, kailan yon ginawa. At so sa amin, para masabi nilang nagkaroon ng unexplained wealth. Ang basic, if I may remember, was really just the fact na yung SALN niya ay lumaki from 2007 to 2025, which sa aming palagay does not show any factual allegation whatsoever, except for the fact that it grew bigger over a span of 20 years. Pangalawa, wala rin pong naka-attach, which I mentioned in the oral arguments last week, na kahit anong ebidensya or kahit supporting document man lang, huwag na nating tawaging ebidensya. Supporting document that will support any allegation whatsoever of unexplained wealth. And that is why, nabanggit ko rin, na after the allegations were made, and this is even more significant, after the respondent had filed her answer, na tinawag pa nga nilang non-answer. Doon lang po naghanap ng mga ebidensya na sakaling makasuporta doon sa aligasyon na iyon. That's very important for us because we had already filed our answer before AMLAC documents were suddenly produced with the issuance of subpoenas, before the BIR box were concerned, that we are concerning ourselves with was presented before the Committee on Justice. Nasa panahon na yun, tapos na po kami sumagot. In fact, when they were saying that it was a non-answer, to be very candid with everyone, we wanted to say because it was a non-complaint. Kasi walang ultimate facts na naka-allege for us to even answer. Now, before this honorable court, I do recall that in our answer, we also took pains to discuss the lack of ultimate facts and also what we feel were violations of due process before the Committee on Justice, or at least with the proceedings that were conducted before the Committee on Justice. And that is also why we have a pending motion for exclusion na ikinalakip namin dun sa answer precisely because we were objecting to the fact that these pieces of evidence were produced after we had already filed our answer. Now, on the fishing expedition, I think on the fishing expedition, Your Honors, our main point is this. Even if we read the twin requests for subpoenas, ulit-ulit po, nakasulat po doon, because this may show context, because this may show, prove something. At para sa atin, this only shows, and at least, again, on the part of the defense, this is somewhat already an admission na hindi pa nga nila alam kung ano mismo doon sa mga hinihingi nila ang pwedeng sumuporta sa mga aligasyon na unexplained wealth. And that's why, if you read the entire request, it uses the word may several times, and it even says in one paragraph, I think it's 3.24, but I might be mistaken, that at least with the request for, with their memorandum, rather, in their memorandum, nakasulat po doon that this does not assume wrongdoing, but they want those documents nonetheless to see if something there will actually help support their allegations. That is why we are calling it a fishing expedition. Dahil in Tagalog, para po maintindihan, sa aming pananaw, sa dami ng hinihing dokumento, para po itong nagtatapon po tayo sa dagat ng isang napakalaking lambat at umaasa tayo na kahit papano may mabingwit kahit isang pirasong ebidensya. Maraming salamat po.
Counsel for the panel of prosecutors, the Honorable Jokno.
Thank you, Your Honors. The question propounded to this representation first is, what are the ultimate facts alleged in the articles of impeachment? Yun po ay nakasaad sa page 7 of the articles. And if I may be allowed to just read them briefly.
You may do so, Counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Respondent Vice President Sara Z. Duterte committed culpable violation of the Constitution and betrayed the public trust when she, A, amassed unexplained wealth manifestly disproportionate to her lawful income and earnings during her incumbency as a public official. B, failed to fully and truthfully disclose all her and her spouse's assets, liabilities, and net worth in her statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth, including in her salents for the years 2022, 2023, and 2024. And C, failed to divest and instead willfully continued all her business interests during her tenure as Vice President for the years 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. Please allow me to briefly explain why these are ultimate facts. Ultimate facts are basically the essential factual elements that make up a party's cause of action or defense. Halimbawa po, pag murder, treachery, evident premeditation, lahat ng mga kinakailangan ng batas para mapatunayan na murder po siya. In our case, we are alleging, first of all, unexplained wealth. And based on the jurisprudence, the elements of unexplained wealth, the factual elements are amassing unexplained wealth, manifestly disproportionate to one's lawful income and earnings during one's incumbency as a public official. So, nasatisfy po namin yung requirement na pag-allege ng ultimate facts or essential factual elements sa tatlong bagay na po ito. The evidentiary facts follow in the succeeding pages of the articles. Doon po namin dinitalye kung ano yung mga iba't ibang paraan kung paano nakuha o naamas ni Vice President yung ang sinasabi natin na unexplained wealth. On to the issue of fishing expedition. Yung pong fishing expedition po ay halimbawa may sabina na baka sakali meron tayong makita. Yun po ang ibig sabihin ng fishing expedition. When the party requesting information does not know what might be produced and just as an off chance tries to use that instrument in order to gain evidence that may be used against the other party. Dito po, malaki ang pagkaiba ng sitwasyon. Maalala po ninyo, during the hearings before the Committee on Justice, the Executive Director of the Anti-Money Laundering Council testified and produced documents showing that from 2007 up to the present, 6.7 billion pesos ang dumaan po sa account ni Vice President Sara Duterte. On that basis, and if we go deeper into that report, it says that during the period from 2007 to 2013, during the time that she served as mayor and vice mayor, umabot po sa halos o lampas 3 bilyong piso ang dumaan sa kanyang mga accounts. So may basehan po tayo para ipalabas ang bank records. We are not just guessing that there is something there because the AMLA itself has confirmed that there were covered and suspicious transaction reports submitted to them in those amounts that I mentioned. Malayo po ang fishing expedition sa ginagawa ng prosecution dito po. If we had no basis at all, if we did not know what was in the AMLA reports, ayun po, maaring sabihin na fishing expedition. But in this particular case, we know because these are matters of record presented before the Committee on Justice. Second po, ang fishing expedition, maaring magamit yan sa ibang mga alegasyon tulad ng baka meron kang hindi na-declare sa iyong SALN. But when it comes to issues of unexplained wealth, it's very clear. The decisions of the court are very clear. To know whether a government official has amassed unexplained wealth, we must look at the entire incumbency of that official. Starting from day one, we look at their SALN, we look at all the income that he or she has earned, both lawful and not, and from there we make a determination whether there was unexplained wealth or not. For these reasons, Your Honors, the fishing expedition argument, in our view, is totally untenable.